Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm glad to see all my beloved friends today. Well, first of all, let's say thanks to Allah because of His blessing we can stay here without any obstacle. Secondly, pitch and solution might be open of Prophet Muhammad SAW. So yeah, let's introduce our group. We are from Group English, and I am as moderator, and we will present about past continuous tense. Furthermore, for the first speaker is Islamianti as moderator, and second speaker is Lisa. For the third speaker is Muti, and for the last speaker is Naila Izati. Oh, so yeah. Therefore, before we start our present by reciting Basmalah together, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So yeah, for the first speaker is Lisa. Time is yours.
Okay, I will explain the material first. Definition of the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense, also known as the past progressive tense, refers to a continuing action or stated that what happening at some point in the past. The past continuous tense is formed by combining the past tense of to be, i.e. was or were, with the verbs present participle in word. The past continuous or past progressive tense describe an action or situation that began in the past and is still going on in the present time. Function of the past continuous tense. The past continuous describe action or event in a time before now, which began in the past and were still going on when another event occurred. The as of the past continuous tense, here you could describe the topic of the past continuous tense is used to describe action that began in the past and often continued for a short period of time after the action started. This tense describe action or event that happened at a specific time in the past this section. The past continuous is used to describe parallel action. The past progressive is often used to denote an action that was interrupted by an event or for two actions taking place in parallel. Example, while I was washing the dishes, I heard a loud noise. To describe what someone was doing at a particular point in time. That could also be expressed using the simple past as I worked, which implies that the action is viewed as a unitary event, although the effective meaning is not very different. Example, I was working in the garden all day yesterday. To express interrupted action in the past. Often the past progressive is mixed with the past simple to show what was happening when something happened. Example, I was driving to work when I crashed my car. To describe repetition and irritation, example, he was always complaining in class. Not for stative verbs that do not use the progressive aspect. The simple past is used instead. Example, at 3 o'clock yesterday, we were in the garden. Okay, thank you.
Yep. For the second speaker is Muti. Time is yours.
Well, thank you, moderator. I will continue the presentation. Characteristic of the past continuous tense. The past continuous is used to describe action that begin in the past and often continue for a short period of time after the action start. The structure of the past continuous tense is was or were plus being or present participle. Example, one, my kids were playing basketball together for hours yesterday. Two, my daughter was planning to join the school band but chose the choir instead. Three, I was talking to my neighbor when she told me about the fire that started across the street. Past continuous from. The past continuous is from using was or were plus present participle. Questions are indicated by by inverting the subject and was or were. Negative are met with not. Statement, you were studying when she called. Question, were you studying when she called? Negative, you were not studying when she called. Complete list of past continuous from. Past continuous use when interrupted action in the past. Use the past continuous the indicate that a longer action in the past was interrupted. The interruption is usually a shorter action in the simple past. Remember, this can be a real interruption or just an interrupter in time. Example, I was watching TV when she called. When the phone rang, she was reading a letter. Last example, while we were having the picnic, it started to rain. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So for the third speaker is me. Time is yours. Use the specific time as an interruption. In use one, describe above, the past continuous is interrupted by a shorter action in a simple past. However, you can also use specific time as an interruption. Example, last night at 6 p.m. I was eating dinner. At midnight, we were still driving through the desert. Yesterday at this time, I was sitting at my desk at work. Important. In the simple past, a specific time is used to show when an action began or finished. In the past continuous, a specific time only interrupts the action. Example, last night at 6 p.m. I ate dinner. I start eating at 6 p.m. Last night at 6 p.m. I was eating dinner. I started out, and at 6 p.m. I was in the process of eating dinner. Use three parallel actions. When you use the past continuous with two actions in the same tense, it expresses the idea that both actions were happening at the same time. The actions are parallel. Example, I was studying while he was making dinner. While Ellen was reading, Time was watching television. Were you listening while he was talking? Use for atmosphere. In English, we often use a series of parallel actions to describe the atmosphere at a particular time in the past. Example, when I walked into the office, several people were busily typing, some were talking on the phones, The boss was yelling directions and customers were waiting to be helped. One customer was yelling at the secretary and waving his hands. Others were complaining to each other about the bad service. So yeah, thank you. And for the last speaker is Naila. Time is yours.
Okay, thanks to moderator. I will explain the next material. Use pipe repetition and irritation with always. The past continuous with words such as always or constantly expresses the idea that something irritating or shocking often happened in the past. The concept is very similar to the expression used to, but with negative emotion. Remember to put the word always or constantly between be and verb plus ing. For example, is she was always coming to class late. He was constantly talking. He annoyed everyone. I didn't like them because they were always complaining. Past continuous tip. While versus when. Clauses are a group of words with having meaning, but are often not complete sentence. Some clauses begin with the word when, such as when she called it or when it beat me. Other clauses begin with while, such as while she was sleeping and while he was surfing. When you talk about things in the past, when is most often followed by the verb tense simple past, whereas while is usually followed by past continuous, while expresses the idea of during that time. Study the example below. They have similar meaning, but they emphasize different part of the sentence. For example, is I was studying when she called it. While I was studying, she called it. Remember non-continuous verb or mixed verb. It is important to remember that non-continuous verb cannot be used in any continuous tense. Also, certain non-continuous meaning for mixed verb cannot be used in continuous tense. Instead of using past continuous with this verb, you must use simple past. Example is Jen was being at my house when you arrived. This is not correct. And Jen was at my house when you arrived. And this is correct. At verb placement. The example below show the placement for grammar at verbs such as always, only, never, ever, still, and just. Example, you were just studying when she called it. Were you just studying when she called it? And active or passive. Example is the salesman was helping the customer when the thief come into the store. This is active sentence. And for passive sentence is the customer was being helped by the salesman when the thief come into the store. Okay, just it. Thank you.
Yep, that's our present about past continuous tense. Nevertheless, before we closing, be reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much for your great attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.